Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Suppressor brothers from the most recent war bond from Redacted Regiments.
But Gundam Boy, both of these guns are stinky!
Before you go sleeping on these weapons, why don't you get some better sleep with today's sponsor, Manta Sleep. They make the world's best sleep mask and provide great sleeping accessories, with their goal being to provide better sleep habits as they have their very own pro sleep movement, which is something I personally vibe with. As someone who's recording on a tiny island in the middle of nowhere, it often means I'm up at early nights streaming or spending long days editing, so it's really important that I get some good rest. Manta Sleep provided a sleep mask that is both comfortable and lightweight in design, and the best part about this mask is that when it's on your eyes, it blocks out all the light. You don't even have to worry about if it'll fit your head or not. It is a one-size-fits-all, and with the eye cups that are provided on this mask, it means that there's no pressure on your eyeballs. They were even nice enough to provide me some eye cooling cups. Also, if you can't sleep without some audio and you don't want to have the video play a jump scare horror video, you should look into getting the Manta Sleep white noise machine, offering a variety of sounds to help you sleep without having to hear the sounds of the creek. My personal favorite so far is the rain. Thank you, Manta Sleep, for sponsoring this video, and check out Manta Sleep in the description below and use Toxic Nappers to get 10% off your Manta order. And I'm surprised that they let me use that as my discount code. But let's get back to the video. First, we have the Suppressor, which has a standard damage of 80 and a durable of 20. It also has a built-in suppressor. You should also keep in mind that it has a gravity factor of 120%, which means the bullet has a lot more drop than usual, because it's running subsonic rounds. So keep in mind that at extended ranges, the AR is going to have some noticeable bullet drop. The Suppressor has a fair amount of options for your optics, with the 4x scope being at the end. And for the underbarrel, you have your usual angled and vertical foregrips with lights included. And for the magazines, you have 3 options between an extended, a short, and a drum magazine. The bullets are stored in the balls. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why is there an elephant in here? So you're probably wondering, how do you stealth around with an assault rifle with only 80 damage? And let me tell you, you do it carefully. Let's talk about the automatons, where you can easily stealth around with this assault rifle if you pop troopers in the head. However, you have to keep in mind, enemy units like Devastators have way more health than 40 on their head, requiring 2 shots to finish them off. Sometimes the automaton troopers can even survive a headshot, and I don't even know how that happened. So all 3 Devastators and Berserkers and even Scout Striders can be a problem if you're trying to stealth around, which can be very easily countered by good placement. And to make it even easier to kill them, set the weapon into burst mode so you fire 3 bullets to kill them. Same thing applies to Berserkers, even allowing you to stealthily take down these Rocket Scout Striders despite them, exploding. Even outside of stealth, the Suppressor can hold its own in a lot of combat engagements. Being very snappy and low recoil makes this gun a beam to fire. It's a pretty comfortable weapon to use overall, allowing you to keep pace with light chaff and providing surgical precision against the medium ones. And if you're using something like the drum mag, you can further extend your damage output. But let's move on over to the bugs, because it's a lot harder to stealth on the bugs, and I would probably say near impossible to do it, but oh lordy, this gun feels good to use on the bugs. But you might want to put the drum mag on for the Terminids. The overall fire rate of the Suppressor is what really carries this weapon against the light chaff enemies. But if you're going up against enemies like Alpha Brood Commanders who match your armor pen and have durable parts, you will find that you'll be spending way more ammo to kill these enemies. The Suppressor can kill it fast, but it also costs a lot of ammo, taking around 10 to 9 bullets to kill a Brood Commander, and only taking 4 shots to kill something like a warrior. And if the enemy of your nightmares appear, the Hive Guard, if you shoot him in his nubs, he dies. The biggest threat to your ammo load is gonna be things like the Bile Spewer. Since they're armored and that ass is hella durable and healthy, you're gonna waste an entire mag killing them. But with the sorta working hit boxes around the mouth, you can kill them pretty quickly, because it has no armor or durable on this part of its body. I'd say it's an alright option on this front, but you don't get to abuse the main gimmick of this weapon, stealth. Even if you can engage in the full Metal Gear fantasy, you still won't draw as much attention to yourself if you're in combat. On the Illuminate front, it performs way better, especially because their main chaff force is mostly voteless. So better slap on that nutsack and start mowing them down. So if you're going up against a horde of voteless, either aim for their head or start stealing their legs. Even Overseers can't handle this fire. For an enemy as chunky as the Flesh Mob, it will take at least a mag and a quarter to kill it. But let's move on over to the Censor, which has a standard damage of 165 and a durable of 45. The Censor provides a lot of different varieties of scopes, but I gotta say my personal favorite is a 10x sniper scope, which you have to unlock at level 25. The underbarrel attachments ain't anything new, you've seen all these before. Unless you're counting the laser sight, then whoop-de-doo. But I have to say the thing that caught me off guard was the inclusion of a extended magazine on a marksman rifle. The only marksman rifle to have a mag option. And you're probably wondering why the tone change. Well, on the short mags, you start with 8 magazines, but if you use it on the extended mags, they still also have 8 magazines. I can already see it in the comments now. Oh, he's ruining my grunt fantasy! Hey, I'm just saying, Arrowhead probably already knows about this, and they're probably going to change it, because it'd be the only weapon that actually gains an increase in ammo after receiving a bigger magazine. Only quote me on this if I'm right, though. I don't know. I'm not Arrowhead. And again, with the main gimmick of this weapon being a stealth takedown weapon on the bot front. Holy shit, I've heard of head and shoulders, but have you ever heard of head and ass? With the higher damage, the Censor is more capable of one-shotting enemies in the head. You can also give them a one-tap through the torso. However, you might want to be a little bit more careful about making these kinds of shots. However, if you're going up against a Hulk's backside, you know what, it takes around 12 shots to kill him. Not that bad. And even if you get into close engagements with things like Berserkers, the fire rate will do just enough to keep you alive. And while it's an absolute beast for sniping and clobbering enemies at a distance without them seeing you, you should keep in mind that this weapon has a fair amount of stagger force. So if you're rapid firing it at something like a Devastator or even a Berserker in close range, you might mess up your own headshots. It also works to your advantage as you can disrupt enemy units like heavy devs from shooting at you. And if you want to Gojo the nearest Devastator, aim for the abdomen and take it out in 3 shots. If you're going up against the Rocket Strider, don't shoot it in the leg. It wastes way more ammo than just firing at its rockets. And if you're used to Censor, you know that it has a lot of bullet drop. But when you unlock the 10x sniper scope, you can actually use the lines at the bottom to gauge the distance and land headshots that way. Moving on to the bug front, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how the Censor performs. Because not to sound like a broken record, but the stagger force really does help it here, allowing you to absolutely bully slow enemies like Hive Guards. And even if the Brood Commander decides to start spamming his red warriors, you can stop them too. And if you didn't know already, taking out the leg of a warrior actively slows them down. It even sends them to God. And I'm not going to glaze over the fact that this marksman rifle is on a bug planet, I get it, but I can't help but use it to stagger enemies. And it doesn't perform too bad against Alpha Brood Commanders, taking 6 shots to pop. Even going up against things like Bile Spears, you could 2-shot them in the mouth. But just remember to keep your spacing between you and the bugs on this front, since, you know, they like to swarm you. Squiggling on over to the squid front, did you know that you can technically one-shot the Voteless with this weapon? You just have to wait a while for them to die, with the heavier variant of this Voteless lasting way longer than the rest. If you're going to be going up against the Voteless with this weapon, I'd recommend either just shoot them in the leg so that they can't catch up to you, or pop their head. Otherwise, keep in mind that you only have 30 rounds to spend, and don't spend it all fighting on these guys. But do spend it all bullying the Overseers. Again, that 20 stagger force comes into play into absolutely juggling these guys. I got so into it that I completely forgot that I was using a marksman rifle. And you're probably like, oh, you're overselling it. Well, how about this? Bro doesn't even get a chance to do anything. Good to note that if you're shooting him in his under armor, that's where he will stagger the most. Of course, if you got the touch and the power, you can very easily snipe the elevated Overseers, but there's something about juggling these grounded ones that just makes it feel so good. Hit him so hard that he had to reset his position. And it goes without being said, if you want to have the absolute beefiest fingers in the game, shoot a flesh mob with this weapon. But I gotta say, it's pretty good. Both of these weapons have been a blast to use. Both are very high precision, and they both provide nice stealth capabilities, while also having good customization options. Comparing it to something like its older brother, the Liberator Carbine, you can see that a lot of their stats are very similar, and only 10 damage off, which explains why the Suppressor is so good. It's basically a quiet Liberator Carbine. Despite the Suppressor stats being so good, it's still limited to a closer engagement range, with both the bullet drop and the initial velocity of the bullet being really low. But when you compare the Censor to its counterpart, the Diligence, it actually pulls ahead. While they have similar damage numbers, the capacity and the recoil and the fire rate are both higher on the Censor. And even if you put the vertical grip on the Diligence, it will only match it in recoil. Otherwise, the only thing the Censor loses out on is range. But it's kinda hard to care when you have the stagger force to juggle Overseers. I'll also keep it a $150 with you. You can only use these weapons so much in the stealthy manner on other factions. I think I use these weapons on the Illuminate and the Bug front more as ambush weapons than I ever used them as like full stealth. But that is the end of my video. What do you guys think about these Suppressor weapons? You like them? You hate them? You want to make babies with them?